Hello, this is Mr. K again. Welcome to part 2 of the stack. You're going to go ahead and open Inventor and start a new part. And so I'm going to start my new sketch, and this time I'm going to use the XY plane because I want it kind of standing up and down. Hold the middle mouse button, move it around so I can see what I'm doing. And this time, as you can see in the picture, we're going to try to give it an outline of the shape, and we're going to then revolve it. So I'm going to do this all with lines. It doesn't really matter what your dimensions are because you're going to come back in and fill these in a minute. But if you can figure them out, you can actually type in the numbers here as you want to. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of eyeball what it kind of looks like. This is just an outline of the picture. If I don't have enough room, I can move it around. This is kind of an outline. That's all it is. And I'm going to close it out because it needs to be closed out. And now I'm going to come in and actually give it its dimensions. So we take this first one here, the overall height, it says is 1.75. Type that in there, 1.75. And you'll notice it kind of changes the rest of it as it goes along here. At the base, I need to get this dimension, and this base dimension is going to be, let me try to move it around. That was wrong. Let me double tap on it. Oh, it's got it hidden down here. Let's see if I can grab this and move it over. Okay, so in the bottom down here, I want that to be 1/2 of the diameter. So the diameter is 0.5. So I'm actually not going to try to figure that math out because sometimes the math is a little bit hard. So I'm going to say 0.5 divided by 2, and that gives me the answer. Now, of course, I knew that that answer was 0.25, but some of these get a little more difficult than others. Let's move it around a little bit more, and we're going to take the height here, and it says that this height is 0.25 also. And then on this one, the slanted piece, move it out a little bit, the slanted piece, it's going to tell me the distance from this point to the bottom. So I'm still in dimension, and I'm going to choose from this point, I'm going to go down to the bottom and pull that distance out and type that one in. And it says that that height is 1.5. So again, it's moving it around as it needs it to be. Now, the other piece I need to have is, since you have to have 2 dimensions, this is a 2-dimensional shape that we're creating here. I'm going to take that point and I'm going to go to the center of our shape, which is going to be the center of our smokestack. And I'm going to set that down. And this time I need to get 1/2 of the diameter. So the diameter is 1.25. And to find the radius, I would divide that by 2. And that would give me that dimension. And finally, this last one, it gets a little confusing. It says it needs that angle. So this time I'm going to choose the line. I'm not going to choose a point, but I'm going to choose the line. And I'm going to choose the center line. And when I do that, it will tell me what that angle is. And right now I've got that angle set at 0.7. It's 7 degrees, 7 point whatever it says. And so I want that to be 15 degrees. And it changes it to 15 degrees. So that looks pretty good. That looks pretty close to what my shape is supposed to look like, that cutout of the smokestack. So I'm going to finish my sketch, double tap the center mouse button to bring everything back so I can see it. And then I'm going to not extrude this time, I'm going to revolve. And when you click revolve, it automatically chooses the closed shape that you have. And it told me, it said it automatically assumed that profile. So now I want to choose the axis. And so I click on it. It's orange or yellow or whatever color you want to say that is, that orange. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose this center line. I could choose this one. And if I choose this one, you can see it flips it up. I don't want that. I'm going to choose this one. So any flat surface, any flat line, it's going to choose it and it's going to revolve it around it. So I want to choose this line and it spins it around, and holy cow, that's really starting to look like that smokestack. That's actually the shape that I want it to be. Now, I need to put something on the inside here, and then to do that, I'm going to use hole. Now, we talked about hole at the beginning of all this when we were doing the hole practice. So what I'm going to do is not linear this time. I'm going to do concentric because I want it to be centered at the same spot that this ring is centered on. First thing it asked me to do is it asked me to choose my plane. So I'm going to choose just click in the middle of this plane, and it dropped a hole in the middle of nowhere. Now I need my concentric ring. And so I can choose any ring. I'm going to choose this ring, and it automatically moves it to the center. So now let's take a look at our picture, and this hole that we're putting through doesn't go all the way through. It's 0.375 is the diameter of the hole, and it goes down 1.5 inches. And there's a shoulder on there, which is a much bigger circle, and it's 0.875 diameter, and it goes down 0.375 of an inch. So now we need to figure out how to make that hole with those dimensions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose the one that says that it's a shoulder. And they call that a counter bore, as you can see here. And it gives me 3 dimensions here, but I have 4. I need it to be flat because, oh, here it is. I don't want it to go through all, so I want it to go a distance. I don't want it to be pointy at the bottom. I need it to be flat at the bottom. And I don't want it to have any kind of threads. It's just a simple hole. So now I have 4 pieces of information. I have my large diameter, and the default is 0.375, but that's not right. My large diameter is 0.875. 875. Wow, I can't type it all today. 75. And then I want that to go down 0.375. And then the overall height of it is going to be 1.5. And then the diameter of the small one is 0.375. So I have a small hole at 0.375. It goes down 1.5. I have a large hole that's 0.875, and it goes down 0.375. So let's see what happens when I say OK. I could hit apply. It'll just leave it up there, which I don't need another hole, so it's just that one. And if I hold down the center mouse button and the shift key, I can rotate it around, and lo and behold, that's looking pretty dang good. Click on home, and it looks almost identical to what we have on our instructions. Last thing I need to do is I need to give it some color. This time I'm going to choose my revolution, and I'm going to choose my hole because I want the inside, and I'm going to choose kind of a bright red. I like that. And there you go. So the last piece that we have to do on this is the optional chamfer at the bottom. So the chamfer is going to go right down here at this bottom edge. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose chamfer. Chamfer. It's a funny word. I like it. Makes me smile. Chamfer. I'm going to choose chamfer, and it's already set to 45 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this angle, and if you look at it, and if I take it and tip it up, you can see that chamfer is really, really big now. I don't need it to be that big. I want it to be 0.01 is what it says. And so that's going to end up making just a little small chamfer here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. If I hit apply, if you'll watch, hit apply, it still stays there. It says I could do it on something else. If I hit OK, it just goes away. So there it is. There's my chamfer. And the last piece that I need to do is to change the color on that to be red. I'll come over here to my color wheel funnel, and I'm going to do the eyedropper on the red. I'm going to come over here and choose my chamfer. That way I don't have to come down here and try to figure out which one of these edges it really is. And I'm going to click OK, and it changed it to red. Click it back to home, and what an amazing picture. So make sure you save it in the right spot. That way you don't lose your work and you know what it's called.